Welcome to In Her Words. We hope everybody is ready for some holiday movie going. Today on the show, we have Ilana Wolpert, the screenwriter of Anything But You, the new film with Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell, and Alexandra Shipp that opens this Friday, the 22nd. It is a fun, raunchy rom-com that we know you guys are going to love, and we loved getting to know Ilana and hearing the story of writing this film. We hope you enjoy. Having a Christmas movie like this, I know what it means to be on the release calendar at Christmas and what it means to be in a major studios on their calendar at Christmas. It is a big flippin' deal. So congratulations on that. That is so exciting.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I just hope people go to the theaters to see it, but it really does. I know there's been some confusion too because it was like we were going to come out, I think, Valentine's Day, and
Right.
I do think this is kind of the perfect time to come out because it really is the kind of thing where it's just like we spent a lot of time with our families. We kind of need a break. Like, let's just go see like a fun movie that feels like summer, that is people falling in love, and just a little bit of an escape. And
Right. Right.
that's really what this is. So
Yeah,
I
it fits
hope people go see
so
it.
yeah, it fits so well. I think it's gonna do, I mean, first of all, the stars couldn't be hotter, and in both sense of the word, looking at them and their careers. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is such a fit. We were talking, yeah, the other day that, we've got Wonka for the kind of 8 to 80, and that's the
Mhm.
family and grandma, and then we've got Color Purple. That's what I'll take my mom to when we go
Yeah.
separately and all that. And I have three sons that are in their 20s.
Oh wow.
They are all about Anything But You.
Yeah.
And and obviously us as a family, we'd go see it, but that's what the young people are going to see. I mean, there's always that movie too that needs to be, and whether it's sci-fi or action or a big, an R-rated fun raunchy comedy, there's that need, and you guys are it this year, and it's supposed, it's getting great reviews, it's got a great cast. So super excited for the film. It's going to be in theaters this week before the for the holiday weekend. But thank you again. I know you are on a whirlwind this week. Thank you for being with us. Our women in
So
entertainment
happy to be here.
audience just loves to hear from screenwriters. They love to hear from young women, and your story is amazing. So we're excited to have you with us. But I want you to take us back
Mhm.
to tell us how you got started. Did you always want to be a writer? Did you come from a family of creatives? Take us back a little bit to Florida. Was it Florida?
Yeah. So I mean, I am not from a family of creatives. As my family will attest, everyone's a lawyer. Everyone works in like real estate or, my one cousin's a scientist, like so far away from the entertainment field. But I grew up in South Florida and I had really no connection to it. I loved watching SNL, and
Oh, okay.
and that was the extent of my comedy training. Is I just religiously watched SNL every night in high school. I would just go through the DVDs from the 70s and just watch everything.
Oh, the
And
originals. Those are
then
the best.
yes, yeah, it was so much fun. And then I went to college, and I didn't really know. I knew that I wanted to be a writer of some sort, but I didn't know what kind of writer. And I thought maybe sketch, maybe SNL, maybe something like that, and tried out for, the improv team, got rejected many times every year that I was in college. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't for me. And I pivoted really hard into like academia. Basically, I was an English and theater major, and I studied a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of 18th century British novels, and was really immersed in reading all the time and writing a lot of essays and not really a lot
Okay.
of creative writing. And I went to Duke, if I didn't mention that before. So there wasn't a huge art scene,
Okay.
and that like there was an art scene, I just didn't know where it was. And so
Were you pulled to
eventually,
Shakespeare more of the comedies at least, or
yeah,
were you all over with Shakespeare?
I was kind of all over, but I did love the comedies the
Okay.
most. And then there was like a Shakespeare theater group that I was part of for a little while and got, some experience acting, which, unfortunately for everyone, I should not be on stage, but I loved it so much that it was a lot of fun. But I was really pulled towards that. And then my senior year, my best friend had taken a bunch of screenwriting courses at UNC. She'd
Okay.
sort of like convinced Duke to let her take a bunch of other courses at UNC and take the bus back and forth to Chapel Hill. And she had interned in LA and really was like, I know what it would look like to be a writer, and I'm going to figure out this path for myself. And she's the most practical person I know. And so for her to be like, I'm going to follow this very kind of one in a million type dream, I was like, okay, she's got something figured out. And I finally took the screenwriting course I'd been trying to get into for 4 years of college by senior year.
Did
And
you
it
take
was
it
just
at
like,
Duke or at UNC? Did you
I
have
do,
to go?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
at
It
Duke.
was
Okay.
like
Okay.
one screenwriting course.
It's like,
So I
come
took
on,
it.
Duke. We got to get more of these.
I know. Hopefully they have more now. I haven't been back in a very long time. But yeah, so I took it and it was like everything clicked right away. It was really like it was definitely like a love at first sight kind of situation. And then I kind of spent my whole senior year not knowing what I was going to do, not having a job after graduation, really hoping that I was gonna figure something out and maybe go work at a studio or a network or try to figure out some sort of job. And my best friend was like, I'm moving to LA. I'm gonna work at an agency and figure out how to be a writer. And you should move out here with me. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a job, you'll get one when you move out. Don't be afraid. And again, like
Wow.
most practical person I know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to LA, a place I've never been before.
Oh
And
my
I did.
God. Self-awareness at 21 years old is so amazing to see.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, I mean barely, but I tried, and so I moved out to LA. I had just turned 22 after graduation. So I moved out to LA right after I graduated and have been here ever since. 8.5 years.
Did you have to do the writing and waitressing, writing and day job? How'd you get started?
So I worked as an assistant on a show, like a personal assistant, basically
Mhm.
for a comedian for about like 2.5 years, and then I had a lot of really weird, odd jobs. I worked at a podcast company for a while that like eventually folded, and then I did a lot of dog walking for the app Wag. I went into a lot of people's houses like with their keys, which was so weird.
Right, right. We know WAG well.
Oh yeah, and it was such a weird time. This was kind of like 2017. I was sort of just like floundering, and in the beginning of 2018, I got a writer's assistant job on a really small show, and the showrunner had just remembered me from another interview from a job I didn't get, and he was like, "Come on and do this job. It's a really short job, but like it's good experience. Just come do it." And I went and did that. And then, literally, right as that was ending, I got a call from a friend who knew that they were looking for someone to be Rachel Bloom's assistant on Crazy Ex Girlfriend. And she was like, send me your resume right now. And I remember I like pulled over, set up a hotspot, and like sent her my resume and edited
Oh
it
my
really
God.
quick and ended up getting that job, which was like the best thing that happened to me. And that
It
kind of
was
set
such a
everything else
fun show. Please tell me that behind the scenes were as fun as what showed up on screen because it was
up. Oh,
looked like a blast.
the most wonderful group of people, the most
Oh.
fun, just the best year and a half of my life. I mean, at that point, it was absolutely like it was just so much fun, and I loved the show. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the writers. And then meeting Rachel was like the best thing that happened to me because she is one of my closest friends now, and
Oh my gosh.
working for her was really special, and we kind of like soul bonded on that show. And then towards the beginning, like towards the end of the show, I guess, Aline Brosh McKenna, who's the showrunner, was very
Mhm.
adamant that like all of the assistants can send me a sample and I will read it and I will give you feedback. So
Oh
like
my
when the show is
gosh.
over, send me your pilot and I'm gonna read it and I'll tell you what I think and I'll help you. And
Mhm.
so I kind of gave that self-imposed deadline to myself and was like, okay, I gotta find the thing that I want to write and make it good before February 2019 at this time. And I did. And then I had finished it sort of before the show had ended, and I had shared it with some friends and shared it with friends who worked at agencies and management companies. And truly, like, I think I had a friend who was in a meeting with another person who was like, oh, I love Crazy Ex Girlfriend, and my friend was like, oh, I know Rachel's assistant. She actually just wrote the script. That's great if you want to read it. And that was like my first general meeting. And then everything kind of snowballed from there. And that friend is now my agent. And, it just, things took off in a really crazy, organic way, but also was just like, I was so lucky to have good friends who worked in this business, who we all kind of wanted each other to succeed. And it was really
Mhm.
like a wonderful symbiotic relationship with, I started to get all these meetings, and then it like improved all of our street cred, which was very cool.
That's amazing. And that we hear, we probably hear from, I feel like from younger women, we hear so much more of the raising everybody up and people looking out for each other. And, but it's still, it's still tough. And it's
Yeah.
still, there's situations where it's like, no, no, I didn't have help or I didn't have this, but that's an amazing story to hear. And like you just said, everybody's street cred went up, everybody's story went up. And I assume that they're asking for, they're saying they're going to help and they're asking for samples, knowing that you're going to put your best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to champion projects that they're proud to champion as well. So that's very exciting. So
Yeah. And
tell
then,
us about, so this was all happening right before everything shut down for COVID.
yeah, yeah. Well, to
And
back up
so,
for a
did things
second,
keep rolling during that, or how did you keep things progressing?
well, to back up a second and go back to that time, is I also, so that sample that I had been showing people and had been getting meetings, I ended up selling as a pilot to the CW that summer, kind of when I was still
Okay,
working for Rachel, and Rachel was attached as a producer, as was Debbie Liebling,
okay,
who's the first professional person I met in LA, and I will work with forever. We're working on something else together. She's just so wonderful. And so we sold this pilot, and then I got, almost like pretty quickly after, got hired on my first show. So I had to quit my job working for Rachel and got hired on High School Musical and went to go work on that show. And so I had, a period of working in person before everything shut down for a while. And I actually sold another show during that time, unintentionally, just from another spec I had written. And then everything kind of shut down in 2020. So I was basically developing two pilots
okay.
while in the pandemic, and then also writing this movie, which I had started sort of the end of 2019-ish, like
Hmm.
generating, and
Hmm.
then I was working on it. So I spent a lot of time in my parents' house with my, like, this is my dog, but she was a baby when I was during
I
lockdown,
see her
because I
back
got
there.
it in 2020. So I ended up just spending a lot of time locked in a room with my like new puppy, writing and taking meetings on those projects, and things did keep rolling ahead
Good,
at,
good. Okay.
so I was able to do a lot of development, which was really, really like great for my sanity, but also just made me, I was just still working, which I was so grateful for.
Yes, but I feel like the people were creative during that time. It was a time to we just did an event a couple of a month or so ago, talking to agents and talking to attorneys about their clients. And one of the topics that came up is what happens during strikes or shutdowns or different things like that. And it was amazing the creativity that came out and the multi hyphenates that came out. It's like this person was a writer and then they did a podcast and then they decided to design athleisure clothes and then they decided to do like a creativity that comes out of that kind of that downtime, the things that you don't really have time to do in others. So really trying to, yeah, how do you flip it and make it positive when you're in a downtime, because you just experienced the writer's strike as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I learned to play piano this summer. That was my big like activity. I always wanted to learn to play piano. I never had, and I had a friend who's like a brilliant musician and
uh,
pianist, and I asked them if they would teach me piano, and I would pay them, and I learned, which was wonderful. And the end goal is really, my girlfriend is a musical theater actor, and
yes,
just a
yes.
wonderful singer and actor and everything. And so I was like, I am learning to play piano so that we can have dinner parties like in the 18th century and I can play and you can sing. And she's like,
Okay,
I don't
that's
want
amazing.
to
I want to
play
be
piano.
invited.
Yeah. She's like, I sing for everyone as my job. I don't want to do that for my friends. And I was like, well, that's actually the dream. So I've
Yeah.
learned to play piano for this and you can't let me down now.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I love that. So with this, you had the series, you were selling a pot, you had another pilot, you had the movie. How how are you I mean, how are you balancing all of that? Is it just I'm not saying no to anything. I'm going to, keep it coming. But, with your personal life, you have a puppy, you have a girlfriend, you're coming out of a pandemic, we're doing all of these, you have these three projects. How is all that on your shoulders, and how do you make sure that you're like giving your all, or giving the appropriate attention to all of those things? How did you handle that?
Oh my goodness. I mean, definitely during in 2020, I feel like I didn't really have a social life because I had my two roommates who I spent a lot of time with
Hmm.
before I went and stayed with my parents for a while, and then I didn't really see anyone else. And so I was just really focused on working on those
Hmm.
two pilots. And at that time, we were doing the High School Musical room.
Right.
End of 2019, early 2020, we had actually kind of finished before um,
Okay.
everything shut down, but also we maybe had a couple weeks left, but we didn't know when we were going to start filming again. So there was like really no point in finishing anything out when we didn't know if we could do big group scenes. We didn't know when we would start filming again.
Oh, okay. Good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't have the room. I really just had this development, and I had the movie that I was writing, and that was on spec, and so it was really like I think it's sort of like everything really does happen gradually and then all at once, and so it was like I had something would pick up with this one project, and it would be like I need to turn in a draft like really soon, and I would spend 2 weeks drinking a bunch of iced coffee and writing as much as I could, and then it would be like that's done, and I would have a day, and then it'd be like, okay, this next thing, like everyone's read the draft and now you have to implement the notes. And so I feel like I was really deep in the development phase like during that time. But most of the time when I'm in a room, I try to really be in the room.
Hmm.
I'm in a new writer's room right now for a new show. That is yet to be announced, but is an Amazon team show that I'm very
Oh,
excited about. And
exciting.
so it's been hard because I've had to balance a lot of things for the movie right now with the room starting. And I was like, I promise by January, like this will all be done, and I'll be totally back to normal and not in movie world. But yeah, I kind of like to jump around and always have every day be different when I'm working on a bunch of different projects. But it's also
Okay.
everything's always in different stages. It's not like I have to work on everything at the same stage always. So it's nice.
As you're doing all of these different projects, do you have a preference of a series versus a feature length film? Or musical versus different genres? Are preferences starting to show themselves?
It's funny because I've now only worked on musical TV shows, like
Oh, okay.
exclusively. From Crazy Ex-Girlfriend to High School Musical to
Yeah.
this new show, and so I
Okay.
am sort of and different kinds of musical shows. Obviously, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was very much in fantasy, and High School
Yeah.
Musical, was a bit more grounded with occasional fantasy sequences. On I can't talk about this new show really, but it's totally different than both of those, and so it's so funny because I love music so much, and I love musical theater, and I love that's such a love for me, and something I appreciate so much, but is not something that I've ever really self-generated. And even like, Rachel Bloom and I are writing something together right now, and it's not a musical, which is like new for us, but it's so exciting to be part of other people's musical worlds, but not
Hmm.
be creating them myself because aside from my rudimentary piano skills, I'm not a musician.
You will
So
be, though. You will be.
thank you. I'm gonna really try. But yeah, so I definitely I do really love working on TV shows with music. And in terms of films, I mean I want to keep making rom-coms is really where I'm going, and different kinds of rom-coms, definitely. But I loved the experience of making this, and obviously film and TV are totally different beasts,
Yeah, yeah.
and I love them for very different reasons.
Oh,
But
good, good.
I'm gonna keep trying to do both forever, hopefully.
Yeah, and we need the rom-coms. Oh my gosh, do we need the rom-coms? We need the smart, the funny, the raunchy, the sweet. We need all the rom-coms out there mixed in with everything. I love that. So let's talk specifically about this film. So you're writing the script, and tell us about the process of, were you how involved you were with the casting? Were there as you're writing, were there ideas for the cast? Because I mean, honestly, they could not be more. I mean, the hottest. With what's happened in the last 2 years with their projects and everything that's going on. I mean, lightning in a bottle. So, how tell us about that process of writing the script and it getting bought and everything that happened with casting and filming.
Yeah, I mean, it was again like that gradually then all at once sort of thing. It was I met with a producer who's now become such a dear friend in 2019 when neither of us were, I think we were both still assistants at the time, and I was sort of like, I have this idea to make Much Ado About Nothing into a modernized rom-com in the same vein as She's the Man or 10 Things I Hate About You. And my producer was like, "Oh my gosh, I've always thought that that would make an amazing rom com. You should write that on spec, and I can produce it, and we can try to sell it." And I was like, "Great, let's do it." And so that process, I was in a room, I was in and out of a room, I was doing other development, but I was always sort of coming back to it. And then in about 2021, we got another production company attached to it, which is RK Films, and we had another producer come on who has also become such a wonderful friend. And it was a big team of women. It was a lot of wonderful female energy that was just so excited about trying to make a rom com and really trying to get it off the ground. And in the beginning of 2022, we made a list of like some people that we wanted to go to for the female lead and to really target. And Sydney was at the top of the list. And she read it in like 2 seconds. I mean, I credit her assistant too with reading it and being like, everyone has to read this. This is great, and she's so wonderful. But and she read it, and we got on Zoom like a few days later, and she was like, I love this. I want to do it. I get it. I understand it. I feel it. I really, really like want to make this.
Oh my
And
gosh. And what did you, were you just dying at that point? What did you think at that
I
point? Like,
was. I actually think I took my first Zoom with her. I was like on set for High School Musical, and I locked myself in an empty office and like disappeared for an hour so I could do it. And I didn't tell anyone because I was scared. I was scared it wouldn't work out, and I didn't want to jinx myself. So I just locked myself in a room and took the meeting, and it was just so wonderful. And she is just the greatest. She's so smart. She's so enthusiastic about it, and she like was like, "We're gonna get this made," and I believed her, and because of her, we got it made. And
yeah,
so I, cannot thank her enough for like believing in the script and for always prioritizing it because she's a big deal, and she had a lot of other projects, and she always was like, this is the one thing I'm not gonna let go. I'm really gonna hang on to it. So she just was the best, and getting her involved was like the biggest blessing. And then we kind of had her attached for a minute, and then she very fortunately met Glenn at the MTV Movie Awards. They've talked about this, so I can talk about it. But
yeah, yeah.
and he presented her with an award, and later she called everyone and was like, have we sent the script to Glenn yet? Can I talk to him and like, can I send him the script? And everyone was like, yes, of course,
Of
please. That
course,
would be
yes.
amazing. And and then he was on board. And then everything else started to happen very quickly, where, met with the director and got Will involved, and then, sold it to Sony, where Will has made so many movies and has had a really great working relationship with them. And all of a sudden it was the end of 2022, and it was like, okay, we're going into pre-production in January. See you in
Oh
Australia.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and Alexandra, who's such a friend of Women in Entertainment, she was at our summit last year. We
Oh my
adore
God.
her. So,
She
so
is,
excited to see her too. And
oh,
I mean, and
she's
again,
so great
she's,
in it.
yeah, hot as anything too right now with
Oh
Barbie and
my God, yeah.
everything
In
she
the
has
biggest
going on.
movie of the year, and
Yeah.
I love her so much. And we actually watched the movie together right before the premiere.
Oh,
Um,
really?
in a theater, and she was just cracking me up. She was making me laugh so hard. So I love
Yeah,
her.
no,
I
she's
love
adorable.
everyone in
We
the
love her.
cast. Yeah.
Well, and I love both seeing both of them, and I've only seen the trailer, but we know we know Glenn and Sydney from such, not dramatic roles or action roles or dark kind of, euphoria type, and to see them be so funny and so like wicked. It comes out in the trailer just that, it's I love seeing someone that we know in one way and seeing them in another way is just like it's so refreshing and so fun to see that range and how that beloved actor or actress can do something different. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn has been in a rom com before, but they set it up, which I love so much, but they so fully embraced it. And everyone in the cast, too, like, it really was such a good vibe on set. I was only there
Yeah.
for about a month, but it
Where did
was
they
just
film? Where was it filmed?
Sydney, Australia.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I knew it was there in the movie. So everything was actually on set or on
Every,
location.
yeah, everything was
Oh,
on
that's amazing.
location, and it was there's like a big house where everyone stays, and
Oh,
that's right outside
cool.
of Sydney, and it's just it was so fun, and the vibe was really like everyone got very close, everyone genuinely like spent all this time together. It was like summer camp, and Sydney and Glenn really just took their roles as like being like summer camp counselors really seriously, and they made sure everyone was having a great time, and like I've not been on a set like that before. It was so much fun. I had the best time. I did not want to leave, but I had been gone for a while and I really missed my dog. So I had to go, but it was so much fun.
Oh, that's so great. So we are so excited for it to be coming out this week. Big, big Christmas movie. And now, how did you feel about and moving around? It moved a little bit because of the strikes and because of different, like you were saying, it was going to be, was it summer or then Valentine's and then it came back to Christmas? And that, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
what a vote of confidence for the movie to be in the busiest, most important time of the year. I mean, that's
Yeah.
so exciting.
I know. I mean, I have no idea. I truly no idea why it moves around, but I know originally we had thought maybe it would come out Valentine's Day 2024, and then it was December 15th and now the 22nd. And so I just am so excited that it is coming out at the end of the year during this time where
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I need a rom com, which is ironic because now I have one coming out, but it's just it's a good way to round out the year. And
Yeah.
I just like I love seeing movies in theaters. Like I again like would love to work in a movie theater. I'm so in awe that you got to do that for so long, but I love going to the movies. It's my
What's
favorite.
your go-to theater? Where do you go? Where do you go most often?
Okay, well, so ArcLight was my
I
place.
know.
That was my place, and I miss it very much. But I will say, so I'm an American Cinematheque member and an AMC A-list member.
Okay.
So when I go to AMC, I either go to Universal or I
Yep.
go to the Burbank Town Center if they're
Of
showing it, or
course.
one of the other Burbank ones because I live
Yep.
on the east side. And when I go to the New Beverly a lot. I go to Los Feliz and the Arrow, and now the Egyptian that's open a
I
lot
know.
because
Isn't that exciting? The Egyptian being reopened. Well, my
uh,
best friend Heidi runs the AMC Universal. So next time you go in, tell her hello. Look, ask for Heidi. Yeah, she's the general
oh,
manager there. But and she's a doll. But tell her that we talked on. And yeah,
I
great.
will.
That's a great theater. No, those are. I love. I'm with you. Knowing theaters. It's the first thing I ask people. I'm like, where do you go to the movies? What's your theater? What's your go-to? Okay, I'm
I
looking at your sweatshirt. Are you a huge Taylor Swift fan?
I am. I also too like so intended to put on a real shirt before this meeting, and it was too cold in my house to do that. So I am a
No,
Taylor
I
Swift fan.
am.
I'll rep her. Yeah.
Did you? So I'm in Kansas City, and so we are in Taylor Travis heaven here, seeing Taylor at
Oh,
all the games. So I mean, I do like her, but not. I wasn't a big, huge Swiftie before, but loving the attention that she's bringing to Kansas City. Loving their. I hope their little relationship is so they're so cute together. But we love what she's bringing to the city. Love seeing her at the games. It's so fun.
That's so fun. I also think too, like, I mean, I love it so much just because I love Taylor. I want her to be happy. Don't know her personally, wish to one day, but I really think that people are so in love with their relationship because it feels like a real life rom com. And
Right?
he put out into the universe like I love Taylor Swift, like she's my celebrity crush, like I'm such a Swiftie. And then it happened, and like it really does feel like such a rom com. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
if you love Taylor and Travis, you're gonna love this movie. Like
There
it's
we
hard
go.
to go
That's perfect. It
wrong.
is. It is. If you love Taylor and
Yeah,
Travis, you have to love anything but you.
yeah,
You
yes.
love your work. You're writing all the time. You have everything. And I know your girlfriend's in live theater in New York, and you're in LA, so that has to be a kind of, you have a bi-coastal relationship that you're balancing. But what are you doing and watching, and how do you spend your downtime? How are you balancing everything that you have going on in your life right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have been going back and forth to New York a lot. But she does live in LA. She's just in New York doing the show right now. So she
Oh,
goes back and
okay.
forth a lot.
Both of you are
But
back and forth. Okay.
yes. So but I have been back and forth from New York a lot. I was just in New York for the premiere, which was so wonderful. But downtime, I mean, I go on a lot of walks with my dog, which she did hear me say that word, and
Uh-oh,
she
you have to spell it.
opened an eye but went back to sleep. So we're good. But I do a lot of that. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love film and TV podcasts. Like
Yeah,
I love the podcast Normal Gossip. I love the Big Picture. I listen to
I
a
love the
lot.
big picture. Oh, it's so good.
The best. They're covering Anyone But You in a couple weeks, and I was like, those are my people. Like I listen to you every
Yes,
like twice a week. That's so cool.
that's
So
exciting.
and I watch a lot of TV and I go to the movies all the time. Truly all the time. If I'm not seeing something new, then I'm seeing something that's rescreened, or it's at a repertory theater,
Yeah,
and so I just love that. And I feel like I moved to LA. I didn't really have a film education because of like I just didn't have that opportunity in college, and I really feel like I dove so hard. I mean, my education was growing up on rom coms on cable, which obviously served itself well,
mhm.
and then Shakespeare in college. But I feel like I've learned so much from watching old movies in theaters, and it's been so special. And I've gotten to see some stuff that I never would have seen, and I feel like it's only enhanced my ability to write and to create. So I'm so grateful that there's such a big scene in LA for going to see movies
Yeah,
old and new.
yeah. It's hard to explain to people outside of LA, because I mean, people know it's the industry town, and you hear that in the studios and that, but the movie going in LA is very, very, very different. And people go. I mean, they see repertory. When we ran weekly repertory at every ArcLight in this. I mean, when we had 10 ArcLights, we had 10 different programs going. And when you tell people that that they sell out, The Godfather in the Cinerama Dome
Oh
sells
my
out,
god.
and people are like, why? You can watch it on television. And it's just, movie
What
going in LA is different. Yeah,
yeah.
movie going is. And I love that the Egyptian is opening. And even if it's a tough topic or a bad topic, but having Netflix buy the theater in Palos Verdes and buy a theater in New York, so that they're putting their stuff on the big screen for that opportunity. I love that. I mean, because there's certain things. I always, good stories beget good stories. Movie going begets movie going. The more you watch on, the streamers, the more you're going to the theaters, and vice versa. I mean, if there's great storytelling, it just raises all ships. So I love that you're in that, because it's hard to explain to people outside of LA what movie going is, as a kind of as an industry.
Yeah, I feel like I'll tell my friends who, live on the East Coast that I go to the movies as much as I do, and they'll be like, I don't think I've seen a movie since like Barbie last summer. And I'm like, why? Go to the
Right.
movies. What are
Yeah.
you waiting for? And
Now
obviously,
people want to see
it's not like
Holdovers, and Saltburn, and all of these movies in theaters. It's just, yeah,
I
there's
know.
so many great films out this year.
It's been a
Well,
really good year for movies.
yeah,
Really
it's been great, and it's going to continue. Now we've got some fun ones coming out. So, Ilana,
have.
thank you so much for joining us. I know you've had a busy week. You're in such a fun time. Congratulations on the film. We're all going to see it this week. We're going to love it.
Thank
I can't wait
you.
to listen to what the big picture has to say about it. It's going to
Oh,
be,
me too.
it's a
I
really
hope it's good. Really scared.
yeah, no, it will be. It's an exciting week for you. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To stay up to date with In Her Words, join the conversation by following Women in Entertainment on our social channels and subscribe to our weekly newsletter at womeninentertainment.com.